Hello and welcome to episode number 30. Yay! So today's topic is going to be, what are you trying to fix? It's interesting how topics kind of pop up, and this one in particular, I still look a little dark in here. Anyways, I was trying a different background and stuff. Anyways, what are you trying to fix? So what's interesting in talking to people and having conversations about people, with people, and sort of seeing what shows up in people's lives, it really, I really notice that one of the things that shows up regularly is this thing that you're trying to fix something. And excuse me, sort of what I mean by that is when you're looking at what's going on in your life, you're always looking at that there is something wrong with you instead of the brilliance that you actually are. And so you're looking for that limitation, you're looking for that wrongness, and you're then looking to then see what you can do to change that, to fix it so that you're no longer that anymore. And that seems to be the common way that we show up in this world. The common way that most people play in this world, I guess, and it may seem odd to use the word play in this moment, but that's essentially what it is. The play that people choose is this place where you are constantly looking for all the ways that you're limited, all the ways that all the things that are wrong with you. And it's a really interesting thing that we always go to this place of limitation or this place of wrongness where you're like, so, how wrong am I in almost every single situations? And then what can I choose different, or what can I be different, or how do I go about fixing that to have something different show up? And then you go on to the next thing. And the next thing is like something shows up and you're like, you make yourself wrong, it's a wrongness. And then you're like, okay, so what can I do to fix it, kind of thing. And you kind of go through this cycle, this continual thing of like this wrongness, this fixing, and never actually go to like when something shows up. Instead of always going to this wrongness, it's like, okay, so where's my brilliance in this? Where is the gift that I be in this? And instead of going there, you always go with like, oh, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that, and even if you're aware of something, you're like, oh, I should be choosing that, but I'm not. And then you make yourself kind of wrong for it. And it may be like a small wrongness, but it's still a wrongness. And so it's interesting when you see this showing up on and on, over and over and over again, and you have this like insanity showing up, basically. This insanity of like, what if you didn't have to have a life like that? What if your life didn't actually have to be that insanity and constantly looking for how wrong or bad or how limited you can make yourself, and really start looking at the place where you're like, okay, this is showing up. Interesting. I didn't expect it to show up this way. What else is possible with this? And where's my gift in this? And where's my brilliance in this? And really playing with that and playing with that energy and those kinds of questions instead of going to the fixing thing. Because the fixing thing is like, you always will find something else to fix. We don't often look at all the different places we are actually brilliant, and all the places where all the gifts that we really actually are, and all the gifts that we be all the time. You're always looking for the place that is something that is not right with you. The thing is, you will always find something not right with you, because most of the time you're comparing it to everybody else. And here's a little secret. You aren't like anybody else. And therefore, you will always find something wrong with you that you need to fix when you compare yourself to anyone other than yourself. And even then, you will find things. So it's really this interesting place that we go. And it really keeps us from really having allowance for ourselves to be actually amazing, to be great. And we constantly stop our ability to be amazing, not our ability, our acknowledgement of being amazing, when we are always looking at what is wrong and what we have to fix and what we have to do better. And this is so interesting because I can't really even stress how much I've noticed it, especially in the last little while, how much it actually shows up. It's kind of crazy. It's almost insane, and it is insane for the way that we choose to live in this way. And it's like, so really, if you started looking at everything in every moment, and instead of making yourself wrong instantaneously, it would be asking a couple of questions. What is my brilliance here? What gift am I being right now? And it really has to do with when things show up in ways that you didn't expect them to show up. And that happens like all the time because we expect things to show up a certain way and then they don't. And then, of course, you must be wrong because you did something wrong and they didn't show up the way you wanted them to show up. Instead of playing with the universe and asking what else is possible and asking for something, but have no point of view in how it's going to show up, in which way that it does show up in your world. And it can show up in so many different ways that we didn't even think as a possibility. And so the cool thing is when you start actually acknowledging that you are brilliant and that you have gifts, and that these gifts and the brilliance is what creates a different world. And it is the contribution that you are to this planet, to this reality, to actually creating something way, way better. And if I looked at this reality, and when I look at this reality and I see what's going on, I'm like, I know we can do so much better at this. And that's really where my passion comes in. My passion and my awareness is that I have this thing where I can see other people's brilliances. And I guess I can choose to be frustrated with that or to be aware of like, oh, wow, people just aren't choosing it. And most of the time they don't choose it because they're not even aware of how brilliant they actually are. And what if you were willing to actually be aware of how brilliant you are instead of spending all your time and energy looking at how much you can make yourself smaller, which takes a tremendous amount of effort and it takes a tremendous amount of energy to do that. So what if you could actually choose something different? What if it would actually be fun to choose something different? And what could your life actually look like? What could your life be like if you didn't have a point of view of how it should specifically be, how it should specifically show up? And so maybe there's times where you've, at some point in your life, where you've made a list of all the things that work for you or things that you would like to create in your life. And you have a whole long list, it may be pages long. And you're like, you go to that list after maybe a year, 6 months, or a few months, or whatever it is, and you look at it and you're like, hey, almost nothing in this list has shown up. And it's like, And so when you do that, you automatically kill any possibility for those things to show up because they haven't shown up in the time frame that you think they should. And look at things that you have created in your life, and sometimes they've taken years to show up for whatever reason, but they do actually eventually show up. And if you really want to speed things up, because most people do, and they get impatient because things are moving way too slow. I'm one of those people. I get super annoyed when things don't move fast enough. So you're always looking at ways to speed things up. And so the best way of doing that is to really ask with no point of view. And no point of view that you have to fix anything, that anything's actually wrong with you. And all you have to play with is this curiosity, this constant curiosity of question, this constant curiosity of really what else is possible, and your curiosity to actually acknowledge and find all the gifts that you truly already are, that you haven't ever acknowledged at any point in your life or previous one. And when we start to actually do that, and we're actually curious to find out how brilliant we actually are, I really wonder what would change. What else could show up in your world, and what else is truly possible? If you woke up every day and you said to yourself, what other brilliance can I discover today? What other gifts can I discover today? And really be in the question of it and not in having to find out anything in particular. What would be possible then? What could actually show up? And it's probably something different than what you've been asking up until this very moment. And so it's really this play, this possibility, and this place of like, what else can I choose? What if I started shifting my entire world completely and doing something completely different than what I normally do? Instead of looking for limitation, I look for the brilliance, I look for the gift. And what if that simple thing, I know it sounds really simple, it's really easy to do, but almost no one's gonna actually choose it. But what if you actually did play with that? What would be possible and what else could show up? And so you don't go into the automated system of looking for what's wrong so you can fix yourself. You look for what already is amazing about you that you've never ever have been willing to acknowledge until now. And play with that and see what shows up and see what truly else is possible in your life, and truly by being that curiosity, what can change? And if you choose this, if you choose to see your brilliance, what really else is possible in the sense of like doing something completely different? If you choose something different, you will get a different result. I have no idea what that result is going to be, but I know it's going to be different. And wouldn't that be interesting just to see? Wouldn't that be interesting just to see what else could show up? And if you're willing to continue choosing that, could your life be completely different than it is today? And is that really worth playing with? Like, it's really a question. It's like, I could just keep on choosing the same thing that I'm choosing all the time, or I could actually choose something different and see what actually shows up and see if anything else does show up. And being in that curiosity, I mean, you literally have nothing to lose, because if you keep on choosing what you're choosing, you're going to get the same of what you're currently getting. But if you try something different, you might actually surprise yourself. You actually might surprise yourself as to the brilliance that you truly be. And that is what my invitation is to you today, to actually see how brilliant you truly are. And how much fun would that be? And if you don't want any fun in your life, then maybe you can see how much more difficulty you can choose. And see what shows up by choosing more difficulty. Because I know people love struggle. And if you're up for something else, give it a go. Ask yourself, what brilliance am I? What brilliance have I never acknowledged that I am? And what gift am I? And what gifts do I have that I've never acknowledged before? And play with those questions and see what shows up, especially if a situation shows up in your life where you're like kind of freaking out a little bit. Ask yourself, what gift am I in this? And what brilliance do I have in this that I've never acknowledged? And play with that and see what happens. I would love to hear any experiences that you have over the next little while. Post in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. This one is a short one today. I think I'm on, no, I'm not on high speed, but I kind of feel like it. I kind of have a lot of energy going right now. Anyways, thank you so much for joining. I'll be around likely next week again, and have an awesome week and see you soon. Bye.